I love the wheels. Those are the first thing
I like them
saw
too.
it,
Yeah,
I was like, oh, those
Those
good.
wheels were literally shown to Ed Welburn, and he went, "Done," walked away.
Nice.
Never happened in my career.
Really?
It was, yeah.
Those are great.
Multi-spokes for the win. Yeah, it says it's been a week. What's been the feedback on your end so far? So, like,
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The 10-speed, people are over the top about it. People that don't know about it, they automatically blog about shift busyness and everything. They don't understand. That's not a character of the car. It's not a character of the tranny. It seems like we're getting labeled more of a sports car now as opposed to a pony car.
Okay.
And what was really cool was that all the way up to Ammon and Royce, you guys got a chance to go around with them, but the top leadership in our company understands performance, and they back my team. I'm pursuing elevating the game here, like we did with the ZL1. So they kind of, you guys did a good job of getting the message out there that the public got what we were trying to convey to you guys.
Mm-hmm. So, kind of going back to it not just being a pony car anymore, and since you're an engineering leader, that you constantly have to move with the ebb and flow of, the industry regulations, different market demands. So how have these factors ultimately changed what the Camaro is versus what it was even 10 years ago?
Well, one of the things is that we're no longer building 40 to 100 prototype cars anymore. We used to do that with every car, which is very expensive because they cost like $250,000 to $500,000 a piece. But we're using the analytical tools now. We're capable of designing these cars on a computer and running road load simulations, model simulations, and we can design structure into the car so that the four-cylinder coupe doesn't have the scar mass that has to go into a convertible.
Okay.
And so when you do that, you take all that cost of all those prototypes out, and that's cost the customer never sees. It also is mass the customer never sees because you don't have, what we used to do is you'd have Aaron's team develop the car out of Milford and say, we got to add a bracket here and a brace here and calm it down. And that all adds mass and piece price and everything. Well, now that you're doing that all up front, the first time we actually build a car that we take out to the proving grounds, it's 80% plus there.
Okay.
And now it's course-defined tuning. So, again, all that's cost that goes into the car the customer never sees. And it's mass that doesn't go into the car, which mass is what we're shooting for. It gives us better fuel economy, lighter weight cars all the way across the board on the Camaro. Because, the fact, like you say, the fact is I have to comply with the CAFE plan and where we fit in that plan for the next foreseeable future all the way through 2025 that year.
Does the sales volume of the Camaro as a whole, does that affect what you guys are constrained to? Like, if you sold less, could you build more V8s? Or if you sold more, do you have to build more of everything else?
So when we put together the Camaro portfolio for the whole life cycle, we're only as good as what our speculation is of what we're going to sell of each engine variant. So what happens is my business case, or actually our business case for the program and how much profit we're expected to make and how much my contribution is to the greenhouse gas and the CAFE requirements, it gets measured on a yearly basis. And if, let's just hypothetically say that we sold 80% V8s, and it's just such a hot car that year after year after year we got to make 80% V8s. Well, that causes issues in a lot of fronts. Number one, we don't have the tooling set up with the suppliers to produce 80% V8s because we never expected that. Number two, the overall program fuel economy would be under target, which means our CAFE would be under target. So I'd get a visit from the CAFE people saying, you got to stop selling V8s. And I'd be, well, we're making a ton of money on it. Well, you would have to do other things, like price it, have the price elasticity to bring the volume down.
Okay.
So it's expected that the volumes that we've told our leadership that we predict to sell over the life cycle are going to stay there.
Okay.
Given the fact that it's a new car, you're selling a lot of V8s right now. but it'll level out to
Yeah.
to the volume breakup that we expect it will.
Okay. Are the four
Did that answer your
cylinders?
question? That's
yeah,
a big answer.
It did. Are the 4 cylinders on the market?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
We've been in production for over a month. Customers are starting to get their cars. You guys had a chance to drive them last week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's we're already getting some really good feedback. There's a lot of anticipation on the what I call the Fast and Furious age group that they remember what we did with the Ecotec engine and the stage kits, and they can't wait to put stage kits on the 2-liter turbo Camaro, because I mean they want to. I mean, they literally will tell us they want to put a stage kit on and go out and go up against the Camaro SS customer.
Are they looking for stage kits from you guys, or are they going?
They're asking for the stage kits. They're asking us to the Ecotec stage kits. Well, they're not asking us. They're going to try it anyway. Do those old stage kits work from the Ecotec to the new 2-liter turbo? But there's also a huge... I'm sure SEMA will have all kinds of aftermarket companies with chips and stage kits, all the way from 50 horsepower gains up to several hundred horsepower gains.
Yeah, they'll have. I mean, yeah, SEMA. There's going to be a lot of Camaros this year at SEMA, probably.
Oh yeah, now that they're out in plenty, there'll be a lot of cars at SEMA for sure.
Yeah. So what? Going back to the ZL1, you had some main goals. What were some of those goals that you guys tried to achieve?
Well, the biggest goal of the whole Camaro portfolio was to elevate the game from the 5th gen. So the ZL1 of the 5th gen was one of my favorite cars. It still is. But when you set your sights higher, adding things like the ELSD, that's such an enabler on the track for corner entry, mid-corner, corner exit. It's such an entry. I mean, it's such a great add to the car. We can program it to work with the performance traction management and the competitive mode. We're starting with a lighter weight car.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's approximately 200, like the SS, it's approximately 230 pounds lighter than the 5th gen ZL1. So you got a lighter weight car, more technology, so you can maximize the grip on the track. But one of the other big focuses from day one was this thing needs to be a drag strip winner too.
Okay.
We got other competitors out there that are they're doing things at the drag strip that we want to be able to do better, right? So this thing doesn't only need to be a track star; it needs to be a drag strip car. So whether you take it to the strip, street, or track, we want it to win on all counts.
What was the hardest thing to get done in terms of goals, in terms of setting up for the program?
The hardest thing to get done, actually, we're launching these cars so fast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been in production for 6 months. We launched the V8, the V6, and then we go into the 2-liter turbo, and that was purely just a engine availability issue from capacity. It was our turn in the barrel. Then the convertible, now our exports, and now we're already into 17, and then we're into the 1LE and ZL1. It's just like, to us, it's like just it never stopped. We never stopped launching cars, which is great for the customers. They love it, but it's really a balancing act to try to maintain everything to the plan that we set forward. And it seems like we're launching everything early, but that's one of the benefits when you design the 2-liter turbo and the ZL1 up front, as opposed to the 5th gen, where we didn't have any performance variants. We had an SS and a V6, and then we were able to bring back the convertible, but we had no performance variants in the lineup, and we literally engineered those along the way.
Okay.
So this one, with the planning up front, it allows us to introduce them earlier. It really takes its toll on the team.
So after the ZL1 launches, are you guys going to stay on the gas, or you guys going to cruise a little bit?
Well, we're never going to cruise because the market's always changing, and there's always somebody that wants to, take control. There's always somebody that wants to come after you. With this announcement, we know nobody's going to sit still anywhere else. So we have to look at market trends, and one of the things that I think we really solidified in the 5th generation was the naming strategy. I think the naming strategy, we took heritage type names for the 1LE and the ZL1, and they earned their way into the 5th gen, and so I think anything we do from here on out is the same thing. You'll have to earn its way in as the appropriate use of if we bring back another name.
Like Berlinetta or L-Type or something like that.
Yeah, I was joking this morning that the next camo car you'll see is a Berlinetta with T-tops, because that seems to be all the bloggers want. We introduce an awesome car like the ZL1, and I get emails saying, how come it doesn't have T-tops?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, man.
but, you know,
Because-
I love all the Camaro customers equally. It's just funny. There's always something you're not doing, right?
Can't please everybody. I have a quick, overarching question regarding 6th generation Camaro in general. I remember reading somewhere, I don't know if we spoke last time, about moving to Alpha. How close was the 6th generation Camaro to staying on Zeta, or was it from the beginning you guys said, we want Alpha?
We started working on the 6th gen Camaro literally a year into the 5th gen Camaro.
Okay.
And at the time, you have to remember the time we were going through restructuring. We were also in a mode where we were trying to, the leadership was trying to eliminate architectures, right? We had, it was 17, we had some number of architectures, and each one of those architectures has several variants that come off of it. And we got rid of a couple brands. So you start scaling things down.
Yeah.
Then at the same time, we're looking at, well, what are we going to do for the next gen Camaro? The natural thing would be to take the Zeta and take it to another generation. But when we saw the opportunities to what Cadillac was doing with the ATS, and their mantra was every gram has to earn its way onto the program.
Yeah.
And then they did the CTS off of it. We said, you know what, with this bandwidth, we could do a few things and make a Camaro out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So the things we did to it, we looked, can we get the long dash to axle, the lower C line at the cowl? Can we get the larger wheels and tire that we need for our Camaro customer? And can we get the track width? And can we do all that? So we kind of took the bandwidth of the Alpha architecture and grew it and opened it up.
Yeah.
So the largest one off of it dimensionally would be the Camaro. And then when it was determined that we could get a Camaro out of this, we were on it all day long with starting with at least 220 pounds lighter. I was so tired of that scarlet letter of mass on the 5th gen. It's like, I get so many comments from the public. Oh, it's too heavy. Oh, it's too much mass. And I'd say, well, what does that mean to you? You're not a writer, and you're not a journalist. You're not a race driver. What does it mean to you? Well, it's just heavier. Yet some people tell you heavy means safer. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
But still, there was this overriding perception that it's a heavy car, and it was a heavy car. So looking at a chance to take a significant amount of weight out, I'm 8 pounds away from 230. I'm doing well, but I said my goal was to be 230, so I could tell everybody this is what we took out of the 5th gen on V8 right here. I'm me. That's it. So when Aaron Lake takes me for a hot lap, I'm going to be slower than if I get out of the car and let him go on his own. So it's a good visual, right?
Yeah,
right.
Definitely. Awesome.
Going back to the 10-speed, can you, maybe in a couple words, describe the character of the transmission? Because I drove it. I had to ride along in the 6-speed, so I don't know what it's like.
I'll crib one of my engineers' comment on it. It reminds you of Fast and Furious movie where they never run out of gear and they never run out of torque.
Okay.
Because in those movies where they're like, let's outrun these guys, and they find some other gears.
And the automatics.
Yeah, right. Well, this will pin you back in your seat every gear. And the fact that we shift faster than a DCT, and you could hear it in the video. Unfortunately, you get a chance to ride in it, but it is so quick that we had a mount a mic by the paddle, so you could hear the click and the click shift. It's so fast. But with the 2 extra gears and the couple extra clutches, it's also actually more fuel efficient than the 8-speed. So there's all kind, and actually, we're not ready to get into the detail. We're going to do a separate media event with you guys to actually bring our powertrain guys to tell you, because the programmability of a 10-speed is phenomenal for holding gear, holding revs, so that when you're doing performance driving, you're not doing 10 to 3 downshifts and then you're back up to coming out of a corner you're a 3. You
gotta work all the way up. Yeah.
The software capability that we'll explain to you guys is just phenomenal. It's a game changer, and I'm so glad that the Camaro is the car that we get to introduce a 10-speed on.
What are you guys calling it? Like 10R90? 10R90?
Yeah.
Is R like for like race or something?
No.
Okay. I had another question about the 10-speed. We'll just move on. The exhaust. How'd you do that?
Well, the exhaust is one of the things I'm proud of, that our team, we spend so much time, probably 8 months to a year on exhaust note. Even though that's the same LT4 that's in the Corvette, we have our own tri-Y design. And when you do your own manifold design, you can tune the character that comes out of the block. We got a 2 3/4 inch exhaust tune with the electronic valves that we can basically keep open as long as we want. You can go select them open basically all the time. But it's really all the way up to the exhaust manifold that you get this just raw character, and because when the valves are open, it's basically a straight pipe. It just translates right to the tips. I mean, it's really cool.
Is it? You guys aren't worried about it not passing?
It has to pass. It has by. Yeah. So, our philosophy, which I would say my philosophy, but it's a team sport, is you have to meet the requirement for the decibel level, and it's induction and exhaust through the speed traps that they measure you on. And a lot of car lines, just personal choice, they work their way up to the legal limit. Well, we start out with the one we want, and it's usually not legal, and then we back off until it's under legal, where we're comfortable that it'll pass a in-market survey.
Okay.
So we attack it from another angle. We get this just raw, visceral exhaust note, and we make sure it will meet the pass by and have a great balance with induction noise and that supercharger whine.
Yeah. So I forgot. I remembered what I was going to ask you about the 10-speed. What does that mean for the 8-speed now? And how's the packaging on the 10-speed in relation to an 8-speed?
Package is basically in the same real estate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very efficient package. What it means for the 10-speed or for the 8-speed is that there's still 8-speed applications. We'll still have it on the 4, 6, and the LT1.
Okay.
But it's a new technology and a new transmission that General Motors is going to be using. As you heard Mark Royce say, over time you'll see other introductions of it. We're just the benefit of the first user of it.
So it's more of like a trickle-down effect. And
it will be, and which is, I personally love the fact that we can use a car like the Camaro as a halo for technology and new introductions like the 10-speed. So when you see it in other programs, it would be kind of neat for us to say, well, we got the first chance to put it in the Camaro.
Do you have any favorite features on the ZL1?
I'd say I love the 10-speed, but I think I love the overall interaction with the performance traction management and the competitive mode.
Okay.
Because it works well with ELSD, the driver mode control, which interacts with the MR and the steering. It's just a well-integrated skeletal system of the technology that lets you maximize the tire patch like no other car I've ever seen.
Was there anything that you were looking at that didn't make the cut that maybe you wanted?
To be honest with you, no.
Okay.
We had a list of things that we wanted in from a technology standpoint, and a car like a ZL1 is one that we will consider spending a few dollars more to get the right content, as opposed to have to make excuses of why we didn't go this far, with the LT4, or why we didn't